time, the most precious resource. We never seem to have enough of it. Time flies. Time is precious. Time is money. Life is short. We can't seem to keep up. If only we had a little more time, we'd be able to do all the things we want to do. But our schedules are full. We're too busy. There's no way we have time to work on our goals. There's no time to go to the gym, so I'll just skip a workout today. There's no time to cook healthy food, so I'll just order a takeaway. I don't have time to learn a new skill, so I'll just do it another day. I don't have time to tidy up. It'll take forever. It's time for some harsh truths. It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste so much of it. We have plenty of time if we use it properly. It's time to confront the inconvenient truth that we don't. If you go for a screen time management app and see how many hours you spent in a week on different apps, I guarantee the numbers will shock you. And if you go through all the things you do in a week, ask yourself, how many of these are progressing you towards your goals? And how many of these leave a bitter taste in your mouth? After confronting these harsh truths, we can make a conscious effort to do the important things. But even when we do the right things, they seem to take so much longer than we thought they would take. This is because of Parkinson's law. Work will expand to fill the allotted time available. If you are given an hour to do something, it will take you an hour. If you are given a week, it will take you a week. This also applies to resources. Every organization will max out its budget every year. When most people look to buy a house, they look for the maximum amount the bank will lend them. Even worse than maxing out the limits, if no limits are set, we postpone indefinitely. Have you ever said, we should meet up sometime, to a friend? Sometime becomes never, because a limit was never set. Those goals you said you've always wanted to do, you don't make any progress because you haven't given yourself a deadline. Deadlines work. They give us a sense of urgency to get things done, and if you don't have a deadline, there's no sense of urgency. Here's 4 ways to get more done in less time. So you're putting off that report that you need to write. Well, here's what you need to do. Get to the first draft. We can use deadlines to our advantage and set our own internal deadlines. If someone gives you a week to do something, try giving yourself a deadline of 1 day to get it done. The mental energy freed up by getting it out of the way will push you on to new things. Normally, it takes me several hours to write the scripts for these videos because I set no deadline. In this one, I wrote it in an hour. How did I do it? Setting unreasonable deadlines creates a sense of urgency. Even if you can't complete the task in time, the surge in intensity to try and meet the unrealistic demand will often get you 80% of the way in a fraction of the time. I wrote most of the first draft in just 5 minutes by using an app called the Most Dangerous Writing app. It forces you to type continuously for 5 minutes, and if you don't type for more than 5 seconds, it deletes all of your work. It's a great way to get 300 words onto a page as a starting block to edit further. The thing is, let's say you have a report to write. You have 5 minutes. You can do that. You're not going to burn out from typing non-stop for 5 minutes. It's also not an overwhelming amount. You know at the end of 5 minutes you can stop typing and walk away. And with 300 words in the bank, you've got something tangible which you can now work on, refine. You can go through sentence by sentence, changing the words. Whereas before you just had a blank space and ideas in your head. Get to the first draft. The other thing about treating a draft as a draft is it gets you out of this idea of perfectionism, which leads me on to my next point. Perfectionism is procrastination. Oh, I can't write that, it's not quite eloquent enough. That's not the right word. No, that's not good. There's no point in me going for a run because I won't manage a full 5 miles today. So I speak 5 languages, and one of the biggest mistakes I see language learners making is that they're too scared to speak. They consider unless they can say what they want to say 100% correctly, then they shouldn't say anything. The issue with this is if there's no repetition, no mistakes being made, then there's no progress, there's no improvement. And actually swallowing your pride and being comfortable with talking like a bumbling buffoon will get you far more fluent than the person who only says something when they know the grammar is 100% correct. Getting to good enough doesn't take much time. Getting to perfect takes forever. When you're learning a skill, it's far more important to get your practice in than it is whether you're doing it right. Perfectionism is disguising itself as procrastination, and sometimes we just need to stop overthinking and do the thing. Don't think that what you're doing isn't good enough, because once you get that first draft, you can refine on things and improve it. So you don't have time to go to the gym today. That doesn't mean it's not worth you working out today. Why not have a go at high intensity interval training? 20 seconds work, 10 seconds rest, 8 sets of burpees. I guarantee you will feel it. Are there better programs which could develop your fitness better? Of course there are. But when the alternative is you skipping the gym and doing nothing, it's getting a win out of the day. No action that benefits you is so small that it's beneath you. Remember, the alternative is nothing. So don't let perfect be the enemy of good. Action breeds action. Set yourself a timer of 60 seconds and see how much you can tidy up in your room. You will likely notice 2 things. 1, you've been living like a fucking pig. Just kidding. You'll be surprised how much you actually tidied up. And 2, you'll feel like you want to tidy more. Setting that unrealistic deadline is kind of liberating because you know it can't be done. So the only thing you can do is to do as much as possible in the time you have. Suddenly, the task also feels less daunting because you know you only need to do it for 60 seconds and not 2 hours. But once you get started, the inertia is broken and you have energy to do more. Making the task as short as possible minimizes the energy needed to get started. And once the ball is rolling, there's no stopping you. Make use of dead time. The average commute is an hour. If you happen to drive to work, that's 1 audiobook per week. If you're on public transport, you have no excuse not to get a book out. Like I said with perfectionism, just because you don't have 30 uninterrupted minutes spare doesn't mean you can't read a book. Think about how often we check our phones the moment we have more than 15 seconds of nothing happening. It all adds up. Making the most of your dead time is the #1 way to gain more time. The next time you're in the queue at a coffee shop or you're sat waiting for a meeting to start, don't reach for your phone, turn to a book. So there we have it, 4 ways to make the most of your time. I hope this gives you a new perspective on how to use your time, and just consider that no amount of time is too small for it to be of some benefit to you. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed the video, please hit the subscribe button. See you soon.